Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, and in this video I'm going to be discussing what happened between yesterday and today with Aapl Stock and why we were actually able to get a massive move on this name over the last trading hours. Now additionally, I want to talk about what is most likely to be happening with the stock over the next week of trading time, so if you're interested in any of those topics, make sure you stay until the end of the video. Now, if you've been with the channel over the last few days, you may have seen my previous videos about Apple and why I knew the stock was going to be moving massively this week. Well, today we got absolutely rewarded and paid for the research and technical analysis I showed you guys in my previous videos. And as of recording this, my personal options play and the play I recommended you guys to make in my last two videos about Apple is up around 125%, which translated to a $1,500 return in just 2 trading days. So again, guys, that is why we target these types of moves with Apple and other names, why I stress that we need to be prepared, and why I always say that we need to buy enough time to be catching these moves and to really take advantage of the full play. Now, after today and yesterday's trading action, we've gotten confirmation of two very significant things, and one is that Apple as a stock is still undervalued and receiving institutional investments on a daily basis, and the second thing is that this investment by retail and institutional investors is a large enough amount of volume to cause the rocketing type moves, which we haven't been able to see since May. Now, around 2 weeks ago, we had a major breakout on one of our favorite stocks, AMD, and this has caused a lot of other stocks in the market to also move massively to the upside. So that's why I think that it is possible for Apple to move in a similar way to AMD. If you remember on that trade, the stock moved around 40% in just a few weeks. So I wouldn't be surprised if Apple was setting up for that same move. And again, guys, we did get a massively positive signal from the green bar, which I will be showing you on the technical analysis portion of the video. Now, moving over to the chart for Apple stock, there's a few things that we're going to want to keep our eye very close on and what's been giving us the best indication of what could happen with Apple. So again, if you've seen my last two videos, you may recognize this wedge pattern right here, and this is what we've been watching as our initial indication of a breakout all the way going back to July when this first started forming. But here over the last few weeks, you can see that we did get an initial move, but haven't been able to push out of this purple box. So ultimately, this purple box has been representing the area which we want to break out of in order to see a new move, in order to confirm that there is still strength with this play. And as you can see, over the last few trading hours, we did get that massive move, and this green bar right here, which is indicative of 1 day of trading action, was the move where I was able to make 125% in a day. So again, guys, that is a massive profit to make in a day, but the question that any retail investor or investor on Apple in general should be asking themselves right now is whether or not this move has continued strength, whether we will continue pushing up past 152 all the way maybe to 170, which continues being my short-term price target, or if we will have a possibility of breaking back down into this purple box, potentially heading down to the bottom of the wedge before the breakout, or potentially heading as a bounce before we come to the top of the purple box again. Now, in either of these scenarios, we would have to wait a little bit longer before our massive breakout on Apple, but here in the short term, there are some signs that we can see on the 5-minute chart and 3-minute chart, which I'm going to show you right now, which obviously and ultimately are going to be the key to unlocking what's going to be happening, whether we will be seeing another breakdown back to the bottom of this channel, back to the bottom of the purple box, or potentially a continued move to the upside. So as you can see from the chart, we are now zoomed into the 5-minute time frame, and what this means is that instead of the candles being worth 1 day, they are now only worth 5 minutes a piece, which means that we get to see a much more zoomed in analysis of what's been happening on Apple, and in this way we can see the move and analyze whether it is extremely weak or whether there might be potential for a continued run over the next few days. Now, the first thing I want you guys to look at is the day when we did have the breakout. This right here was the day when I made the 125% return. So again, you can see the massive strength coming from 148 at the open all the way up to 153 at the close. And again, I held my options all the way through my full position, and for that reason, I was able to profit massively, not only on the following day, but the following day after that. You can see we rocketed just today this morning to 155 a share, and that was the point where I started taking partial profits on my contracts. What I did was I had 10 contracts on Apple, 10 options contracts, and I sold out around 6 of them. So now I'm sticking with 4 for the long term, and I do still have a month and a half left on them. So again, this all ties into what I've been saying in my last few videos for you guys. If you are buying these options, make sure you have more than enough time. Make sure you don't just buy one. If you are considering buying one, you're buying maybe one that's more out of the money, and that way you can get a few, which allows you to control your risk better, like what you're seeing me do here in the video. So again, guys, this is a massive part of the trading, knowing when to take profits, and that's why I was able to pull out my position before this move to the downside. You can see that Apple is now seeing a lot of weakness over the last few trading hours, and that's exactly why I do want to talk about that right now in the video. Now, you guys may have heard the expression before, a move that repeats itself shows no strength, and that is exactly what is happening here. You can see that when we pushed up, there wasn't an immediate repetition all the way down, and that's why I was confident that there was still strength left with the move. But as you can see with Apple, this last move up has been met immediately with a move down matching it, and this is not really something that I like to see here, especially in the short term. Shows that there is not a lot of strength left here over this next week, and for that reason, that's part of the reason why I took my partial profits. But again, guys, I still do think that we are bullish in the long-term context, and this is why Apple stock can be so dangerous for a beginner investor. If you're seeing this video late, you might be kind of encouraged to invest in right now on Apple or buy some calls after you've seen this video. But again, right now in the short term, in the very last day of trading, we are seeing a very negative context on Apple. So why would I buy in tomorrow when the stock is at 151, or if I see a continued move to the downside? Instead, guys, I recommend you to wait until Apple is seeing more strength, until we are seeing a confirmation above this purple box, and that way you can be sure that we are not just repeating to the bottom of the purple box or the bottom of the wedge. You can be sure that the move will be having strength to the upside. So to recap what I just said, guys, do not buy in on Apple stock tomorrow or the day after if we are continuing in a downwards direction. Even though you are technically, yes, getting a discount, you are buying into weakness, and you're ultimately buying yourself into a worse probability position. So my best recommendation with Apple over the next few days is take your partial profits. If you were able to take advantage of this massive move here with the channel, then that is absolutely fantastic. And I think that you guys should be very smart, and you are very smart for making that move. But again, guys, we need to be careful over the next few days because these moves don't last forever and they come in waves. And right now, Apple is showing that in the very, very, very short term, they are in a very bearish context. So again, guys, we need to see what's going to be happening tomorrow and the day following. If we do get a nice test on this box where these white lines are, then potentially that could be another point to back in it, or sorry, jump in at and look for a move to the upside. But if that doesn't happen, then ultimately I will be sitting on the sidelines with my 4 remaining contracts until Apple goes back in that upwards direction and I can buy more. Again, guys, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like down below. If you enjoy the channel, don't forget to subscribe. But as always, guys, I hope all your plays are in the green.